Hello, this is Ellen from Health Aspire. Today we are making Keema Cottage Pie, which is an Indian twist on a traditional family favourite. So we're going to be using some beef mince, spinach, peppers, tomatoes, bit of sultanas for sweetness, peas, curry powder, garlic, ginger, onions, coriander, and then we're going to top the cottage pie with some mashed butternut squash. So we're going to add in some oil. You can use a light olive oil or coconut oil, or traditional Indian cookery would use ghee. Ghee is basically clarified butter, so it's the fatty part. So if you've got a lactose intolerance, there's not a lot of lactose in ghee, so it's quite a good thing to try. We're going to just cook these onions through just for a couple of minutes. So we're going to add in our minced beef. You can use minced lamb. I don't love lamb because I had a pet lamb called Lottie when I was a little girl, so I don't tend to use a lot of lamb. That's the only reason though. Beef has got lots of health benefits, so it's really rich in B vitamins and in iron, so it's a really good one for all of the family. I'm going to grate in some garlic. I always grate garlic just because it sort of evenly spreads it through the dish and you haven't got these big lumps of garlic. We're going to grate in some ginger. The reason why I grate ginger is because it helps to get rid of that sort of fibrous bit that you can sort of see there. So I've just browned this off for a few minutes. I'm going to add in the curry spices now. So I'm using a madras powder here. If you don't like too much heat, then use a mild curry powder or a korma powder. And I'm going to add in some cayenne pepper. You could use fresh chilies here as well. I'm going to stir that through so you've got those gorgeous curry flavours. I'm going to add a little bit of corn flour just to thicken the dish at the end. I'm going to stir that through. So you can see the colours changing. So we've got a lovely yellow coming from the turmeric. So turmeric is known for its anti-inflammatory properties. I love to have a turmeric latte in the evening, which would just be some dried turmeric, cinnamon, a little bit of coconut oil and almond milk warmed up. Really lovely. So I'm going to add in the peppers. So peppers are really rich in vitamin C, and they add a lovely colour to the dish as well. Some sultanas. So in Indian cookery, quite often you'd see sultanas. You've got the sweetness of the sultana and the kick of the chili works really well together. If you're trying to introduce children to curry, so for example a korma would be a mild dish, and just put some sultanas in there and it gives them that bit of sweetness. I'm going to add some tomato puree to make our sauce and some chopped tomatoes. I'm just going to stir that through. So once that's stirred through, we're going to add a little bit of water just to give us a nice rich sauce full of spices. You could eat this now as a keema curry, so if you didn't want to turn it into a cottage pie, it makes a really lovely curry, or you could do two batches, so one turn them into cottage pie and then the other have in the freezer just as a keema curry. So we're going to add in some peas to give it some colour, some more vitamins going in. And then some fresh coriander. Coriander is a typical Indian herb. Some people don't like it, but I really like it. So stir that through. We're going to leave that to simmer now for about 20 minutes. before transferring it into a Pyrex dish. Then we're going to top it with our creamy mash. So while that's simmering, we're going to make our mash. So all I've done is roast some butternut squash. So I've cut it into 4. Leave the skin on, leave the seeds in, because it's much easier to take it off once it's cooked. Once it's cooked, so you sort of roast it in the oven for around 40 minutes. You'll see now that it'll just literally, flesh will come away from the skin. So you've got a lovely smooth mash. So we've got our butternut squash here. We're going to add in a little bit of coconut milk. So traditionally a mashed potato, you would add in milk and butter, but we're going to be using coconut milk just to give it that Indian twist. So just mash it through and we're going to season it well. So butternut squash is really sweet, but it's a lot lower in carbohydrate than a potato. So it makes a great alternative if you're wanting to avoid carbs or minimize them. Butternut squash is really high in things like trace minerals, magnesium, manganese, vitamin C because of the colouring. So any food that's sort of got orange colouring would have lots of vitamin C. Okay, so we're going to line our Pyrex dish with some spinach. So spinach is really rich in iron. It will wilt right down, so once we put the hot curry onto this, it's going to cook it right down, and when you serve it, you'll have a nice serving of spinach. So it's kind of a complete meal. You don't really need anything with it. You've got lots of ingredients in here. So we're just going to spoon on the curry mix onto the spinach. So just going to season this with some salt, a little bit of pepper because you've got quite a lot of chilli in there, a bit of salt and pepper in our mash, and then we're going to spoon on our mash. Now here is a tip to get a nice even mash. So if you just start by going around the edge and then we can fill in the middle. What a lot of people do is put it all in the middle and then all the sides kind of come up here. So this is the way to get a bit of evenly spread through the dish. And then what's left, we'll just smooth into the middle. So I'm just going to finish this. So just spread it evenly with a fork, just to make it look a bit nicer. So this is going to go in the oven now for about 20 minutes and then it'll be ready to serve. If you like this recipe and you want to find out more, don't forget to subscribe and check out my cookbook, The Real Food Cookbook. You'll also find the recipe in the description.